Wonderful thing to have 3 poet laureates, young poet laureates, and to be introducing you, perhaps for the first time, to Toronto's Youth Poet Laureate, Shahaddah. Can you? We have Lishai Peel from Hamilton. Yeah. And Ziysah van Bieberstein. That's poetry in itself, right? From the amazing city of Peterborough. I love that area. Yeah.
Hometown of Charlie Patch.
Yeah, hometown of Charlie Patch. All right, so we're gonna get started. Everybody's here. So we'll start with Lishai because we thought, yeah. So again, want to thank our sponsors. Got to keep doing this so we can keep being sponsored, and Queen Books for holding us to account, supporting us and holding us to account in terms of acknowledging, supporting the diversity of the city, and in making our programs accessible. Welcome me in, or join me in welcoming Lishai Peel, who is an award-winning writer and educator based in Hamilton. The thing with these descriptions, they're just a tiny part of how we can describe these individuals who have come up, who have nurtured community, who have connected, who have put voices on the map, who themselves are on the map, which enriched our cultural and literary ecologies. Lishai has over a decade of experience working in the arts and culture sector, serving as recently executive director of the Hamilton Festival of Readers and Writers. Her essays and poems have been published by Book Hub Press, Room Magazine, Lit Magazine, Heya Alma, Middle Ground Magazine, and Arch Poetry Magazine, the Malahak Review, and a number of other places. Lishai holds an MFA in Creative Writing from Guelph. That school just turns out some outstanding writers, I have to say. Guelph, you're at Guelph. By night she dreams, writes poetry, and by day she works in organizational leadership in the startup industry. Just imagine the creativity in the art industry that she brings. And she is, and we should be proud of her to be Hamilton's inaugural Poet Laureate. So I bring you Lishai.
Check, okay. So before we get started, I just want to give all the love and respect to Lillian Allen. She is a trailblazer, pioneer of spoken word poetry in Canada, and many of us owe her so much and look up to her immensely. Lillian, thank you for having me today. I also want to give a little love to Alessandra Naccarato. She is a resident poet witch. She cast the spell, and then lo and behold, I became the Poet Laureate of Hamilton. And she's mentored so many poets in the city. And I also want to shout out Delia. Delia is the good luck dog that we all love so much. And if you're feeling like there's too many words going on, it's getting a little too wordy, and you want to just chill out with the cutest dog in the world, go over that to Charlie. Okay, let me do some poems. So, I love poetry, but actually, in my heart, in a past life, I was a dancer, so this is my ode to dancing. And if that was an after party and you need someone to bust out the goofy dance moves, I am your gal. Go on and dance, like you have something to prove. Like the difference between being alive and truly living is the thing that makes you move into the cipher. Unrehearsed, unafraid, gravity betrayed by halos and headspins, honoring with every round the music that followed you to this moment. Momentum traveling into syncopated heartbeats, amped up frequencies like poetry and motion called the flowback soliloquies, b-boy stance, hollowback freeze. If the body is a vessel, you caught the sea breeze. Go on and dance, because time is passing through us. The seasons wait for no one. Dance was made for summer nights in the street, sweat gathering in the air, music spilling from the speakers like hot lava. Even now, some of this is a little spicy. I should have done this beforehand. Okay, skip. This is not an erotic poetry meeting, people. Let's get serious. Go on and dance. Like you are folklore trapped in your skeleton, and you are a songbird and silencing your body's voice. And your diaphragm is a map to the unfolding alchemy of limbs that arrange themselves courageously to the DNA of the beat. In your pulse is a roadmap to the metronome of music, and the music is a dancer waiting to be born. This is how your body knows it's alive. I think, therefore I dance. Until my ancestors come alive to sway in the shadows. Until there is no distance between the shifting decibels of time. Go on and dance. Because breath is sacred, because life demands it, because now is the time, because stories are passed from bass to rhythm, from rhythm to rhyme. You are the undisputed avatar airbender of movement. That line scored points with my 9-year-old, I have to say. The music sculpts itself around your body's will. The taiko, the tantan, the tupan, tamborita, marimba, palandak, nagak, shanshin, all instruments in sync with your heart's beat. Go on and dance. This body is your birthright. Move whichever way you can, every day that you can. Move like my son who believes, who truly believes he can outdance his mama. No kid, not yet. But son, go on and dance. Because dance is a commitment to joy, an affirmation of life, a spark that is caught flame. One day your bones will sleep soundlessly knowing that they have lived this life well.
Yay!
Thank you, what a warm crowd. Since you all got a little excited about the maybe erotic poem, lines in that poem, I'm going to read you something a little bit spicy, why not, right? Seeing as Chicago was pouring from his lips, the lighting real dim and the whiskey, I instantly regret this. Why people, I stand by this, that you should never write poetry about sex in your 20s, my God. There may have been solicitations for something more explicit than casual conversation. Courage was an emptying glass, nothing left over for a good old-fashioned fuck. Us Jews say the blessing on the bread so that we can eat with God watching. Next time we will bless the body wholly again, pull courage from clenched teeth, drain the whiskey from the blood, let the moon do the talking. Under the thrashing night, say amen. Can I hear an amen? Another short poem. You amethyst dusk, you dahlia by night, you sharpened tongue, you midnight piano, you unaccustomed surrender, you haloed horizon, you dancing fire, you drunken warmth, a heat that travels in the splinching tomorrow, you always. Thank you. I'm going to close with a pantoum. And thank you all once again for being here. I mean, this is incredible. I don't know how many thousands of people are here, but you're choosing to be here in this very hot tent, and I appreciate all of you.
It is hot here.
It is hot. Our lives, this collection of revenant words, teeming with the possibility for meaning and resonance. Gathering stories, archiving them in our bodies like secret bones. Even still, words are not enough to disquiet the swell of life lapping at our feet. Teeming with the possibility for meaning and resonance, we offer words to ease towards the long night. Even still, words are not enough to disquiet the swell of life lapping at your feet. And what more can we offer but our songs, our poems, our stories? My body a turning season. I seek words to ease towards the long night. One life, this liminal song, but how full and how loud, even when fading. And what more can we offer but our songs, our poems, our stories? In the space between us, perhaps it's something to truly listen. This life, this liminal song, so full and loud and fading, we tell stories so that we can know what matters, how to live, how to remember. In the space between us, perhaps it's miraculous to truly listen, while the stories break light through our silent aches to be seen. Life demands that we know what matters, how to live, how to remember. So we build homes in the debris of our inheritance, while the stories break light through our silent aches to be seen. Please know me. My blood, my name, all the ways that I made you lucent and soft. It is a kindness after all, building homes from the debris of our inheritance. Here we are, tumbling towards something worth writing about. All the ways that I made you lucent and soft. Here we are, all flaming sky, copper moon rising, tumbling towards something worth writing about. All this dazzling sadness, the breathless night, and we love, we claim for the way our grief became flaming sky, copper moon rising, for all the ways in which we return time and again to the altar of the living, full of dazzling sadness, the breathless night, as we love, reclaimed. Oh God, what a small mercy to be held in a world of stories we cannot outlive, and still return time and again to the altar of the living, scattering words like beloved ashes across the open slate of a page. Thank you very much. One more thing is I don't have any books, so I really hope and invite you all to buy all of these books and Shahadah's books. And thank you again for being such a warm audience.
Thank you so much. Yes, you can talk about all those voices. Yeah, so we're gonna have our next reader. The outgoing poet laureate of Peterborough. Ziysah Bieberstein is a poet, editor, and unsettled settler who finds home in queer, Jewish, and activist communities. Co-founder of Takeover Poetry, Z curates teams of poets to serve up fresh, customized, typewritten poetry from bicycle-drawn carts. Ziysah's most recent collection, Consent, Services, has been described as a necessary upheaval. That's how we love our poets. And an ecstatic kind of justice. Ziysah is grateful to be living in Mishi, Sahagulin, Anishinaabe territory, where they are currently serving as Peterborough's poet laureate. So, introducing
Is this one okay? I need my hands for other things.
Okay, good.
Hi everyone. It's good to see you all. Yeah, I'm Ziysah, and I also want to start with, I plan to make the same thank yous Lishai did, but I'll try to add to them a little. There's a few factors that have allowed me to be here, and one is, both of my parents are here actually, that's a pretty good factor. And I was visiting my mom recently, and I was having a really hard day, and I was like, I just need to get out of the house, and I went to the park, and there was Lillian sitting in the park. And I said, Lillian, I'm Ziysah, Peterborough, do you remember me? And after we saw each other that day, we connected online, and she said, do you want to come read Word on the Street? So, you should go to the park more, that's how these things happen. Also, as Lishai mentioned, Alessandra Navarado is, she has become this like niche market of helping spoken word performers become page poets or like put their poetry into book form and publish. And so I called her a few years ago and I was like, I was like, can you help me? I'd really like to publish some work and I don't know anything about publishing. And she said, actually, I just started a mentorship group for that exact purpose, and the other people in the group also have young children and are struggling and want to publish. So there were 3 of us in that group. It was Lishai, myself, and Marie, and we are all poet laureates now. I don't know what happened. I heard she's starting another group in January, so if you're interested, it's very magical. I do live in Peterborough. It's known as Negojuanong, the place at the end of the rapids. It's Michisage Anishinaabe territory, and where I have learned so much. And it's very busy there right now. It's Mnoming Festival this weekend, so you can learn about harvesting wild rice and honor that ancient nourishment practice. And it's also Pride. It's Peterborough Pride today. The parade is about to start. I was at the Trans March last night, so I think I'm okay. Why am I mentioning that? I don't know. Oh, because I've been doing a lot of public speaking lately, and this is the first gig I've had this month where I haven't had to create new work for it. So it's actually very relaxing to be able to read something that already exists. And I should read from my book, so you'll come see me at the book table later. This poem is called Uninvited, and it's a long form poem, so I'm just going to read some excerpts from it. And it is, I actually wrote it for the National Poetry Slam when it was hosted in Peterborough, and it's broken up into sections that are labeled by Hebrew letters, which, like in Hebrew, there's no separate characters for numbers, so you use the letters to count as well. So I will say the names and the numbers. That's what's going on. But we're going to jump into it right here. Arba. I visit the Holy Land at 19. A busload of kids, elated for a free ride, sleep-deprived after an all-night flight, they hike us up this steep incline to the iconic view of Masada at sunrise. The fort where 1,000 Jewish rebels once embraced mass suicide rather than find their fates framed by Roman hands. We are each sent off alone to feel what we feel on the sands of our homeland. My people have always been wanderers. Why should I feel any more connected to Masada than to Mitzrayim, where my ancestors lived for centuries before the new pharaoh who knew not Joseph? Why not Poland, at one time the center of Jewish life, home to my grandmother and her grandmothers before her until we were forced once more to flee? And why should I, with some claim to DNA, roaming this desert in biblical times, carry more entitlement than the children in refugee camps, in Jordan, in Lebanon, born here, torn from here in this lifetime? If I have a home on this land, it is mythical. Hamish. At 20, I am righteous, anti-globalization my dogma, covered in slogans, schooling my grandpa, ready to rally, eager to align, I stride into the lecture hall. Paula says, you can't just be anti, you have to know what you are for. I prickle, then sit with the challenge. Leanne talks about the food chain, how Europeans draw man at the top of a pyramid, the most powerful because he eats everything, while the Anishinaabe see a circle. Humans dangling on the furthest edge, the most vulnerable, the most dependent. My worldview implodes. Doug Baugh says taking the life of a single stalk of corn is of equal magnitude to taking the life of a deer. I freeze in disbelief, start eating meat again. Christine tells me it's uncomfortable for her to hear a white person speak Anishinaabemowin. I rewrite my poem. Shish. Cara tells me she's envisioning Canada 150 years in the future. The year the lift locks are demolished. The year the salmon return. Phil says there was a time you could walk atop the Otonabee at spawning season. That's how thick it was with fish. Now when I peer into the river, I see ghosts. Shabbat. We meet Wanda's new love via Skype as we mix mojitos. They are joking about whose oppression is worse, the sudden devastation or the slow burn. I am suddenly aware of this scene. Anishinaabe, German, Jew, Palestinian. My wife's ancestors attempted genocide on my ancestors who fled to where we are upholding the genocide against our friend's ancestors while justifying the displacement of her lover's ancestors. And yet, here we are. The future they fight each other for, laughing in the kitchen. Tasha. My grandmother transitions out of this life. Nestled into her still warm arms, I feel the silk of her voice, trace the wrinkles on her hands. I used to draw the loose skin up into mountains, see how long those mountains would stand. That may be the closest I will ever come to knowing land. Still going, just skipping this legend. Chamesh Esrei. We are learning about decolonization, how it's not just a metaphor. Not accomplished by closing residential schools, ending drinking water advisories, or abolishing genocidal child welfare practices. That's just basic human rights. Decolonization involves settlers giving up shit, like the lift lock, like the parking lot that all but swallows up that tiny slice of grass where a buried, unburied, reburied ancestor attempts to rest. Like the way we see things, the ways we know, like our cottages, like owning land. Sheish Esrei. Older women confided me their fears in the lobby of the theater after Colonization Road. But I have nowhere else to go. As if the Jews had somewhere else to go. As if 65 million refugees have somewhere else to go. As if indigenous children contemplating suicide have anywhere to fucking go. As if the rising oceans need any more white tears, I don't feel guilty about what has been done here in my name. I don't feel guilty for the mistakes of my ancestors. I feel ready. Ready for this responsibility that my grandmothers fleeing persecution could never have understood. They watched the boats of refugees turn round to drown in the ocean or return to Hitler's massacre. Watched their brothers beaten in Christie Pitts Park, obeyed the signs, no dogs, no Jews, then quietly made their fortunes on paper, on plastic, on psychotherapy, on plazas, traveled to everywhere but where they came from. They lost their ceremonies too far back in the chain inside too much pain to ever return. Transplanted, they hung pendulous, hearts closed to a full landing. But they raised, my parents raised me to continue the work. Work they could not foresee, but had faith enough to plant seeds for. Shabbat Esrei. So here I settle, unsettled, on Mishizagi territory, a place I know better than any other. I will nurture these relationships with Aki, with you. I will fight for your children as hard as I fight for my own. I like to think I'll someday feel worthy. I like to think if I were asked to leave, I would. Shmoneh Esrei. For now, I feel gratitude. Gratitude for a gift I can never repay, a gift not consensually given. For now, I take my children to the river each day. We say Miigwech Nevish. We say Toda Ma'im. We touch the water to our hearts. Thank you.
Wow, that's Ziysah. Thank you so much. You know, it's just so important that we get into these, tough, difficult things and find a way to learn our ideas through language to a wider audience so we can engage with the consciousness of each other. So we're kind of, do we have any time at all?
Big time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So all right. So we have so thank you again, Ziysah. Yeah. I know. great to see you. So another round of applause. Poet laureates. So we have 2 poet laureates in this session. Hamilton, 3 Peterboroughs. And now coming up, we are gonna be, I am so delighted. I mean, Toronto was the first city to have poet laureate in Canada, which I'm the direct beneficiary of. And then working with the youth cabinet of Toronto, initiated the Move On, which I supported and helped work with, to bring us this thriving city in heat, a youth Toronto Poet Laureate. So happy and so proud. So I want you to meet Shahaddah Jack, a 20-year-old bilingual spoken word poet, performer, human rights activist, warrior, student of life from Paparazzo. Recently released her debut single, My Mother's Daughter. She's graced many dozens and dozens of stages, including the renowned History Stage. Shahaddah is a proud graduate of the Remix project, which came out of Fresh Elements of Fresh Arts, which I initiated. She weaves her diverse cultural background, powerful poetry addressing human rights, Black experience, and challenges of adolescence. Named BGC's Canada's 2022 National Youth of the Year. Whoa! And recognized as one of Streets of Toronto's most inspirational women of 2022, Shahaddah invites you to explore our world through her debut book, Underrated Royalty, and you can get that on Amazon. So again, thank you the City of Toronto for supporting this glorious event and presenting to you our first Youth Poet Laureate, Shahaddah.
Word on the street, how are we feeling? Okay, we're feeling alright, but I know we're feeling better than that. Word on the street, how are we feeling? Amazing. My name is Shahaddah Jack. I'm a spoken word artist, youth activist, and I am honored to be Toronto's first Youth Poet Laureate. I would like to thank Lillian, Toronto Youth Cabinet, and the City of Toronto for this incredible opportunity that allows youth to understand that we also deserve seats at the table. And now if you're feeling good, can you turn to the person next to you and say, you are beautiful. Can you turn to someone else and say, you are powerful. Can you repeat after me and say, I am beautiful. And say this next one like you mean it. I am powerful. There's so much power in the word. There's so much power in spoken word, in poetry, and in art. And I believe the artists and the poet laureates that we've seen today have demonstrated this so beautifully. So if you're feeling good, can I get some snaps? Okay. Can I get some stomps? Can I get a Can I get all three together? All right. So if you hear anything that resonates with you today, please snap, stomp, give me a This moment is just as much for you as it is for us here on this stage. I'll be sharing 2 poems today from my book, Underrated Royalty. And the first piece will be Underrated Royalty, the lead poem. This book is an ode to community. It's an ode to young Black youth here in the city that are navigating what it means to be stolen people on a stolen land. That's that's a huge and complex identity that a lot of us, I believe, are navigating. To be unsettled settlers, to be stolen people, and to navigating this relationship with the land, a relationship with a place where so many names and languages have been erased from our history books, have been erased from our mother tongues, have been erased from our motherlands. And so as we share today and as we continue to write and release novels and release books, to remember who we are doing it for and what we are doing it for, and that is for legacy, that is for reclamation, and that is for liberation. So this first poem is Underrated Royalty. And I got some snacks. Dear colonizer, master of our history, aren't you tired? Aren't you tired of being the reason why some have no roots to claim? Confused as to why they can't find their motherland in their name. Diluted by the tongue of the oppressor, the oppressors being your ancestors. Lost in the confusion, the diffusion of what we now call a historical illusion. The rich names of Nubian kings and queens now lost to the slave deemed undeserving of a name of meaning. The rich names of Nubian kings and queens. Nefertiti, Makeda, Kandake, Asantua emerge as Laquisha, Uniqua, Monisha, known as the ghetto names. Names your broken tongues butcher no matter how hard my people struggle to assimilate to your television expectations. They're unrecognizable to your westernized filter. You've spent lifetimes attempting to erase black beauty from the hands of time with your false narratives pacifying your fear of the strength of our culture with the notion that you can prevent melanated magnificence in future generations with racial extermination. You've dedicated your living to discrediting my blackness, exposing your envy of my beautiful black breaks with your hidden black face, found in the political correctness of cultural appropriation. Its beauty dull in your interpretation, causes societal revelation that black is beautiful, but only on a black queen. That black is powerful, but only in the hands of a black being. We are underrated royalty. Thank you once again. Before I leave here today, I have my final piece, Chained to the Streets. This is a piece I wrote at the age of 15, right before the pandemic, right before the death of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and so many others whose names we may never know. This piece is to demonstrate that youth know so much of the world that is around them. And it is literature, it is art, it is storytelling, it is community, it is connection that allows for their truths to soar beyond tongues that have been silenced for so long. So the youth see, they know, and so hopefully we can create more opportunities for theirs and voices like mine to continue to shine through the narratives of our world today. So this is Chained to the Streets. Black boy, eyes filled with sorrow. You were fooled to believe that there is no purpose in the possibility of tomorrow. That your bulletproof attitude is the reason why bullets will come for you and not the cancer in history known as white man's fear. The same men that are meant to serve and protect, but also told to put you to death at any sign of a threat, told to be made an example of, told to be put down like a rabid dog meant to lie with its fleas. You are known to society as a disease. But yet, they will use your beauty to sell culturally appropriated movies, and they will use your stories, the same ones they use to justify keeping you in the streets, to create best selling novels, profiting off of the products of the race. You see, they will always want to use your beauty, but not your name. Your face, but not your name. Your culture without your history. They will use you until there is nothing left. Until, like all wild animals, black boys have gone extinct. A genocide is in the making. They've done this by making young black girls fear, bringing black men into this world. As a young black girl, I know. As a young black girl, I'm ashamed of how society stereotypes of my very own people make me scared to one day be the mother of a black boy, let alone a black man. But I don't want to have to think of the all too commonly used speech about police brutality that most 5-year-olds know before they know how to read. I want my child to live the mentality of a free man and not some slave under his master's command. But how can you be expected to live your free when you still feel like a slave, but this time chained to the streets? Thank you. Once again, my family, Shahaddah, art at its core is a form of liberation, is a form of love. So allow us to continue to spread love, to spread joy, to spread resilience in this world around us. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Shahaddah. And thank you to Lishai and Ziysah. We really appreciate what you bring to the community and what you bring to our literary charity. So keep going, keep mentoring people, and know that you are loved. All right. So thank you all for being here. Thank the host for myself. So I want to thank all the staff, for street folks here on the sound and coordinator here. Sorry, it's just my sage and brain that can't recall the names right now, but know that you're present in my mind. Want to thank the donors, as well as Landscape Plus and the Testament family for donating their support, the volunteers, and the care that is put into this festival. Want to thank the folks for that. This support makes a significant impact on the festival and allows words on the street to keep bringing high quality arts and culture and events to the city year after year. And there's something special we're asking of you. There is a campaign, a Luna campaign. Word on the street is trying to collect 100,000 visitors, patrons, or people who are here or appreciate love Word on the street. They're trying to collect $1 each. They're trying to collect a loonie each. And I want to, for those folks who really appreciate and love it here, I want to double that. So if on our behalf, Dolores, you can donate a tuna each, we would truly appreciate that and feel even more love. Who says money can't buy love? We're sold. So, yeah, so thank you again for coming. Although we poets can talk to ourselves, which we love to do, and read our own writing, it makes it 10 times, 100 times, and just so much more important, significant, and meaningful when we share it with you and we get your response. So thank you again. The stage is going to take a break, and then the City of Toronto will be back here with the Toronto Book Awards finalists. take the stage. It will be Jenny Lee, Austria Bonifacio will be here in about 45 minutes, so you can just walk around. Also to remind you, there are a number of OCAT students who are on the footprint of the festival, reading their poetry and short prose and making soft poems. So interact with them, talk to them if you go there. So just want to say thank you again, and just wonder if we could do a little sound poem, if we could get a word from you over there, a sound. Hello! 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 A word or a sound. Just throw me one.
Love.
Love. I love. I love. I love. I love. Ooh. Peace. Peace. Anybody else? Woo! Pew! Anybody else? Sound and the words. Thank you, thank you, thank you.